because I love coffee.
Okay, so I'm going to start it and then I'll give people a minute to come on.
Hi. As we say, the webinar is now live.
Yep. Okay. We'll give it a couple more, a few more minutes, or not, maybe not minutes, a little bit longer to allow everyone to get in. And
Absolutely.
Then I'll introduce you.
Thank you. The joy of two monitors.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Jana says hello and welcome.
Hey, Jana, thank you. Thanks for the referral. It's always so much fun.
All right, I think that we can probably go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll have a few more trickle in. But hello to everyone. My name is Carrie Dillon. I am the Managing Director for the International Textile Alliance. I want to thank you for joining us for Leveraging LinkedIn, Building Your New Resource Network. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Jennifer Shaheen. Jennifer is the founder and president of the Technology Therapy Group. She is recognized as an expert in digital communication transformation, user experience, and data insights. Over her 20-year career, Jennifer has worked in a myriad of industries as a digital advisor, including finance, manufacturing, design, and luxury retail. In 2020, her firm, the Technology Therapy Group, transitioned from an agency to an e-learning and coaching platform with a mission to empower growing businesses to leverage digital tools. Jennifer has been a contributor to and quoted expert in notable publications such as Entrepreneur.com, Forbes.com, the New York Times, and a recurring guest on MSNBC's Your Business. Her most recent accomplishment was being named to the board of directors of Martin Guitars in 2020. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us today. If everyone would put your questions as they come up in the Q&A, and we'll certainly save some time at the end to address those. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you all for having me today. I'm so excited. I am going to just ask Carrie before she completely logs out there just to confirm that she can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Looks excellent. Good. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So I will do my best to keep an eye over there, but Carrie will stop me if there's like a pertinent question that needs to be answered. Otherwise, I promise we'll get to them at the end. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. As Carrie mentioned, I'm Jennifer Shaheen, and really it is my passion to talk about the world of digital. And so since Carrie already introduced me, if you request a copy of my presentation, you'll have our bio inside, but we'll just jump right into what we're covering today. So this is just a reminder of what was on your sign up, and it's really on LinkedIn, the power of your profile, building your network, your security settings, which I know a lot of you are going to really appreciate, the difference between profiles and business pages and something called a showcase page, reviewing data that you're actually receiving from LinkedIn to help, and we'll talk about this throughout this, reaching goals, and then using the LinkedIn search. And then a lot of people ask me all about what is LinkedIn Live. So I wanted to add that in here as well. So I'm starting with, sort of this basic of LinkedIn, and on the right side, you're actually seeing the mobile version. And I wanted to remind everybody of the mobile feed, because for me, this is a big part of using LinkedIn. So, as a reminder, for those of you who are really new, This is a business networking platform. My background is actually pretty funny. I've been doing coaching and training since the 1997. And I used to actually teach a business networking class in Manhattan. And I always tell people that LinkedIn is really like, if you're an old school networker, this is really a platform you're going to enjoy because business networking rules apply. I kind of used to say to people that, if you used to go to networking events at breakfast, you used to get one kind of person. And when you used to go with the evenings, you used to get a totally different kind of person who would come to a business networking. Like our morning people were all buttoned up and ready for the day at 7 a.m. at those breakfast meetings. And then after we were a little more chill, we unbuttoned the collars, so I think of LinkedIn as a lot more of that kind of like breakfast, morning, lunchtime networking, just to sort of set a non-digital expectation of like what we expect from people. You need to use this platform like a social event. Why I bring that up is because when I was taught to network, I would go with goals. Who am I trying to meet? So Carrie and I were talking beforehand about, the audience. And, when you think about leveraging thing, you do need to be thinking about that. This is just not, and this is the mistake everyone makes about all social media, is you don't just post and leave, right? You don't just walk into a dinner party and have a conversation and then leave. You hear other people's conversations, you join other conversations. So you do need to talk to people. If you are looking to meet particular people like a retail owner or a manufacturer or a designer, then you need to know what your goals are and understand what's going to attract that person. And that's what's really important when you think about building your network. You also want to keep track of, what's working. And that's the other stuff that I'm going to show you today, because what's really neat about the world of digital is you can actually see on your own, so you're going to see all of my insights, how well you're doing and what's resonating. And you can't quite tell that with everybody else. I mean, you can get a little glimpse, but you don't really know how many impressions they had or how much people liked or disliked something other than their little thumbs ups. You just don't know how their reach was. So I want to remind you, and I snagged this from my very dear friend, Stacy Cohen, who is a branding expert. And she just did a presentation last week that I was on. I was like, oh, I'm totally snagging that. And I just added that this piece is that your LinkedIn profile, that's where we're starting. The thing about social networks is they are just that. They're for the individual, and there are companies on here. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing about LinkedIn is it's really about you. You are your personal brand on here. And I loved this quote that she had from Tom Peters, that we are CEOs of our own companies. To be in business today, our most important job is to be the head marketer for the brand called you. And that's really what we're going to be talking about with starting with our profile. So first off, I want to start with, if we're going to be networking, and we're going to start with the profile, but I wanted to start with showing off, like, what does your profile look like right now? Not in a week when you're done with today's session, right? Are you seeing things from other people? So again, this is the mobile version, and this is an invitation that I have received from LinkedIn. And then this is someone else's. And I just picked ones of people who obviously tried to network with me and wanted to bring this up because obviously we're starting with your profile. But if your profile is looking a little bit like this, so kind of for those of you who are new to LinkedIn, like, no photo. And by the way, that's a setting. So you might have a photo in there, but if you don't allow people with a certain degree or anonymous visitors, you wouldn't maybe show them your profile. At this point, there is an expectation that you're going to have a banner at the top here. And if you notice here, there's not much about this person. They're in customer service. This one's a research expert. It doesn't tell me anything. The other things about this is you can see here is that there's no connections to their any other organizations. I see no other icons or logos. It's very important when you're building your profile and you're starting to build your network that people can cross-reference and see that information. So I wanted to kind of mention, that networking requests have a first impression. So ironically, on the brand building seminar that I did last Wednesday, Dora was actually one of the presenters. She's an expert, as you can see, in digital identity and transformation programs. So that's really right there. You can see that she has a masthead. She has a great photo, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. But we know right away a little bit about her, and you can see there's some highlights. And then on the desktop, and I was kind of telling, I'm assuming, Andrew, you might actually be on here. So thank you for connecting with me. I grabbed it before I accepted your connection. But of course, I knew right away because of this is Andrew has his photo. He's got a great image up here. I saw right away that we had a mutual connection. There's Carrie. Right away, there's a connection off to his organization where he works. And then right here, I know very quickly, if I don't read too much, I already know what Andrew does, and that's very important. So this is really that wanted everybody to see the first impressions, because we don't often see our own requests to somebody else, right? We only see what we receive. So what we really want to start with is optimizing your profile. And so obviously I'm showing you a screen grab of the edit screen from desktop. So as a reminder, when I go through this, I'm going to talk about optimizing, and then in about 3 slides, I'm going to show you some tips on, as you're updating your profile, there will be some security settings that you may want to turn off so you don't have everybody notified on everything. So I just wanted to mention, I promise I'll get to that. So you want to be strategic about what you're putting in here. Who are you targeting for potential contacts? So if you are looking to reach buyers, then you're going to want to make sure, and this is actually really important, your headline is going to resonate with the person you're trying to network with. That is really the most important piece right here. As you saw from the previous screen, especially on mobile, that headline is like the first thing we really notice. Your current position will actually connect to the icon at the top, but the headline is the attention grabber. It's kind of like what we would do in old-fashioned networking, right? Like our 30-second pitch, that's your headline, really important. So when you're thinking about that, you also want to think about what opportunities you're looking for. And you can see here that I just sort of changed this so you can see that there's some other things in your profile that are really important. So just go back here for just a second. Wanted to go here and make sure that I'm pointing out education is important. If you went to particular schools, I do show this. Alumni are great opportunities for connections, just as a reminder. This is also important because people do look for things in certain areas. So this is actually going to give you, if you put your zip code in, but for the longest time, I started my business in New York. And even though I had lived in Rhode Island, I left it in New York because I was really in New York on a weekly basis. And so I really wanted to network in that area. So I left my location there. And then of course, here I can put my industry as well. And so I just wanted to point out a few things on the profile side there. Again, I mentioned it really quickly. What are you trying to get across in your 60 seconds? Keep in mind a couple of other little things that are really important. A website that you might link to that would be your own. So if you have a personal brand, you might have that there. The phone number here, especially for those of you who are interested in being more secure, there'll be ways where you can say, if they don't have some bit of this information, I won't accept their network. And that happens a lot with very C-suite people. And I did want to point out this here too, because do be careful about this. I've dealt with a lot of security people over the years. And so sometimes people might put the month up, but not their day. So I just wanted to point out a few little things there, and then dig into each area and update things that would relate to your goal as an individual on here. So another thing I wanted to point out is when you click on your picture now, there is now, these are called frames. So when you click your image to choose to upload that, you will now see the original, and then now there's 2 badges. I will say they definitely snagged this one from Facebook where you could put something, but they basically say hiring and open network. Now, for those of us who've been on LinkedIn, that would be me since they launched, they used to say LION next to their names. So LinkedIn Open Networker. So for those of you who've been on LinkedIn a really long time, you might have seen people who said lion in there. And that's now they've made it LinkedIn, or i.e. Microsoft at this point, has now given you a badge. So if you're an open networker, you can absolutely throw that badge on there. If your organization is hiring, this might be a great one for you to have your team members, especially if your department is hiring, to put that on yours. And that way people can reach out to you, because this is a very important platform for looking for opportunities. Okay. Another thing I want to point out is you'll notice when you look at most people's profiles, you can set your own URL. And so you're seeing mine from the outside. So I always encourage people to take their LinkedIn URL, go into a separate browser that's not logged into LinkedIn, and pull up your profile. There are ways, and on the next slide, I'm going to show you there are settings that you can change, but I do want to mention that this is a great way for you to know, what does the world outside of LinkedIn see about you? What is indexed in Google? What is being out and put out about you as an individual? This is important for a lot of people who are trying to protect, like they want a network, but I always bring this up because, again, if you're trying to build up your brand, this is a great way for you to be found in Google too. But if you're also wanting to protect certain things, I want you to know that this is here. Now, when I work on a profile, there are certain things that I do. So I was being interviewed for the board of directors of Martin Guitars for about a year. So I knew that I was working on my profile, but I will like adjust things. And then I turn off the settings because I don't need everybody to know every small update. So like, for example, if you missed a letter in your bio in somewhere and you edit your profile, it will tell everybody all of a sudden that if you adjusted your company name from, you know, mine is Technology Therapy Group, but let's say I had the before it, I'm like, that's not who we are anymore. We dropped the, like the Facebook, right? So we dropped the, so all of a sudden it'll send everybody out a notification. I don't want everybody to know. I didn't change my company. I just changed a small word in it. So before you make any adjustments, if you do not want the whole network of your networks notified, I just grabbed a little screen grab, but you're going to go up to your profile and then you're going to go to settings and privacy. And then in here, you're going to see a place that says how others see your LinkedIn activity. And this is right here where it says share job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries from profile. I had mine set to no. When I'm working on my profile, if I don't want the whole network updated on everything, I do that. What I would recommend is if you're futzing with your profile and you're working on things, futz with it, and then find the final thing and then go back and turn it on, make the one adjustment, and then it will notify everybody that's in your network that you now have that update. So as soon as I joined the board, of course, that was one of the big things I turned it on because I wanted to show my growth as a career individual and my brand. And so wanted to bring that up here is then I actually turned it on. So this is very important. This is probably everybody's favorite tip I always give is that you can turn things off. I also want to show, see here, there's this just the step in. So when you click on that, it will be it's a toggle, a yes, no. I also wanted to show some other settings that I think are really important is if those of you who are very protective of things on yours, you can absolutely control that. I know for me, if you click, you can see how many people are in my network, but I don't know if a lot of people who are new to LinkedIn might know this, but if you go to somebody's LinkedIn and they don't have it, you can click on the number of people on their profile and it will show all their connections. I have mine locked. So you can see, this was what I was talking about, edit your public profile. You can change what is seen by non-logged in members. Who can see your email address? You can change that. Who can see your connections? Only me. So it should say only you. If you don't want somebody to click on the number of contacts that you have on LinkedIn. And for those of you who have been leery about using LinkedIn and say, well, I won't want to change my whole Rolodex, this is really helpful for you. I do want to clarify, very important. If you are connected to someone, I will still see it. So if you go to Carrie right now and you're not connected to me, and then you go to me, you'll see that Carrie's connected to me. It'll say that we have something in common. What this is doing, however, is protecting your entire database so that someone can't just click on your list of contacts and see everyone. And I know that this is always something that gets asked when I do training. This is a big, big one that everyone likes to know, but I do want to make sure you always know that you can see people's connections on their individual profiles. A couple of other little things you can see, who can see your last name, representing your organizations and interests, and then of course, your profile visibility off LinkedIn is here as well. So as you go into this section, there'll be lots of little things that you want to spend some time on. And again, on the slide deck, just as a reminder, everything is going to be under your little icon. Just go down to settings and profile. All right. Now, what to post, how often you should post, what are hashtags, comments, and general tagging. So what makes a good post? Well, first off, a good image always makes a good post. And I specifically picked a company in the mining industry, but for example, depending upon what you do in the textile world, if you're a buyer, if you're a manufacturer, if you're a retailer, you obviously are going to put imagery in here that's very impactful for you. Think about the message. Now I've expanded this. So by default, this is much shorter. You wouldn't see all of this, but I wanted to show a whole message. And so you'll see, even if you're writing about your own company, if it's your business, you should still tag your own organization. If you're sharing information about a organization like this one, put their organization. And so that's part of what you'll see here is you can tag people and companies. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. You don't have to be connected to those people or those companies to tag them. So again, if you find somebody to be a really great thought leader and you've learned something valuable from something they did and you're trying to reach them or build a network, then tag them in something they've said or a point that you're sharing. You, one, will get wonderful reach from it, but two, tags notify. So I didn't include this one, I almost did, but Carrie's post, obviously, as soon as she tagged me, I was notified on LinkedIn, so I could go comment and respond to it. I will tell you personally, from personal experience, it is definitely how I've gotten to some people that I wouldn't have gotten to. And you also, this again, makes a great thought in planning. I'm trying to get into this company. I want to work with them. you don't often close a sale right away. So think about the things that you might post and tag or tag other people. Obviously, it needs to make sense, but I just wanted to bring that up. So the other thing you're seeing here are hashtags. Hashtags, obviously, again, I'm going to show that screen in a second. You can follow hashtags so they'll appear in your news feed, but it's also how you would want to be discovered. So you may want to think a little bit about what hashtags go in a post. You can use it like a word. But if you're someone who doesn't like that from an English perspective, then you can definitely put them at the bottom of your post. When you close up or this post is expanded, you will only see the first couple of lines. So the hashtags are in there, they're indexed, but you won't absolutely get that. Now, the other thing I want to mention is when you are putting good content out there, people in your network will absolutely connect to it, respond to it. You may also find, just like you might have had a networking person that you went, a networking buddy to an event, you might do the same thing here. Like find somebody else in our organization here and say, help each other, comment. And the reason that is one, you should always reply to comments, but the more engaged people are with your posts, the better the reach. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll find almost kind of like, I feel like I'm on Survivor right now saying this, but you find other people who are in the same industry who are compliments to you. And if they like your posts and you like their post, you're helping extend each other through the LinkedIn sphere. Another little neat trick is also to keep in mind that if you're doing this to help someone, don't always just like something. You can celebrate it. You can, say it's a good idea. Remember, there are multiple types of hover components, and they actually, again, make great reach. But I do also want to remind anyone that anytime anyone comments, please make sure you're replying to those comments. All right, so this is the one that throws everybody. So depending upon your goal and what you're trying to accomplish, and I am definitely guilty of not doing this because I'm so busy right now, but I can tell you unequivocally, if you post every day and you have a goal and you're trying to reach, and by the way, I do this a lot in B2B for other people, is you will reach them because they start to see you consistently in their news feed. Because remember, not everybody does this. So if you're the outlier on LinkedIn, because it's not like Instagram and it's not like Facebook, but if you're posting quality content every day, you will consistently be seen in the feeds of the people that you're trying to reach and build relationships with. Even just that scroll through an acknowledgement reminds people to keep you top of mind. So try as much as you can to post every day and also engage every day. And I'm showing an example of a friend of mine, and I'm her chief digital officer on her company. I have my own, as you saw, and she literally, I think her rhythm is 4 to 5 times a day. Now, again, she's trying to generate sales for her agency. But I do want to bring up, because everybody will say, oh my God, 4 to 5 times a day. I'm not 12. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. But business to business platforms, believe it or not, if you are doing at least, I ask people for your own personal profile, if you post once a day, that is oftentimes a lot. But remember, if you're trying to reach people globally, which we are, when she posts, she's posting intentionally at different times of day because different people go on at different times of day. So that's why that's really important. Also varying your post types. So images, videos, links, those are all different. One thing that we do a lot of, and Canva is great for this if you're not someone who has time. I know most of you on here are probably fairly artistic, but just go and making like quotes, like things people have said about you, great quotes that you've heard from other people. But you have to find what works for you. I can't say that there's, 3 images a week and 2 videos and 1 quote is going to do it. Everyone has their own secret sauce. Again, make sure you're applying to everything. And you can see that if you're really looking for peak performance, 2 to 3 times per day will get you that peak performance. Okay, so just a little bit more. Thoughtfully comment on other people's posts. So this is not about you posting. This is about you going through your news feed and making sure that you are commenting on other people that you're trying to stay connected with, people you might be trying to grow a relationship with. Be sure that you tag them or other people. So if you found something of value on someone else's post, tag someone that you think will appreciate that information. At the end of the day, I won't say that this isn't a little bit of work, but if you work it, it does absolutely work. I just want to make sure everyone's clear that there's a difference between you publishing and you engaging, and that is important. All right, so just a reminder about hashtags. So if you visit this link in here, you'll see this is your little discovery hub. And over here on the left, this is showing people you follow, groups you're involved in, events you've been invited to, pages that you are following. And then you see hashtags. And so these are hashtags that I follow. I follow 34 of them. Now, if you expand, you'll see all the different kinds of hashtags. So what will happen is you can actually then see these are the hashtags and how many other people are following them. So one neat little trick, and we'll talk a little bit more about search in a bit, but in the search, you can start to type a hashtag in and it will start to show you other hashtags. So if you're interested in, so we could do hashtag textiles, we could do hashtag manufacturing textiles, you could do hashtag textile design. There's a whole bunch of things that you could do, but what you'll end up seeing is when those results come up, it will show you how many people are actually following those particular hashtags. And this is one that we actually use in my organization. At the time I took this, we only had 1 follower on it, but it's something I'm trying to sort of own on LinkedIn is DIY digital marketing. So right now on this date, when I took this, I only had 1 follower. I'm hoping I have more now. But the point that I'm making is it will help you to understand how popular and how precise a hashtag is so people can discover your posts. Okay. So as you're thinking and you've been spending time working on your profile, I do want to mention that, as you're thinking about building your network and you're doing outreach to people, think about who do you want to connect to? Why do you want to connect with them? And please be mindful, be very careful with the connect buttons, especially on the mobile. I'm using obviously a desktop screen for this, but create a thoughtful connection message. Do not just send it because it gives you the popover that says, do you want to include a message? Always say yes. My trick back in the late 90s, early 2000s is I used to do this after networking, and I used to keep a message in drafts, and I used to just copy and paste it and put their name in and change out where I met them. So I wouldn't have to retype it all the time. So I say, do the same thing now. Go ahead and keep a little message that, always use their name. It's always nice. Oftentimes after presentations like this, I get invitations, and I encourage you, definitely feel free, link in with me. But it's so nice when I get the messages say, thanks, Jennifer, you were on the ITA presentation today and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's how I know that person. Absolutely, I'll connect with them. But I also want to tell you, this is how I've gotten to some really high level individuals or authors that I really admire. I would just put a little message and say, I'm partway through your book right now. I'm really enjoying it. I just really wanted to add you to my network. So I wanted to bring that up as well, because I think it's really important. Okay. Once you are connected with them, make sure you engage with their content so you don't feel like they just accepted you. And of course, the big no is obviously we want to tag people in the context as part of conversation as well. But I do want to remind everybody to not send out the, let's jump on a call right away. That's why engage with their content a little bit, see that they're commenting back. And then if you're trying to get, especially a meeting with them or a phone call with them, it's going to be a lot easier because now they're seeing your name consistently. For you, if you want to know what's working, I think it's important that you review your data. So here's an example of a post from, it says 2 weeks ago, but this is from a while ago. And down at the bottom, only you can see this. It will show how many views you had. Now, mind you, you can see we had 3 likes and 2 comments, but this is the reach that I had, like how many views. And then this was a video. And it's funny because like, I would have thought the video would have done better, but maybe it was the topic. So again, down here, 131 views of that post. So I do bring up that you may want to also be a little more strategic and looking at your information. So look at the post types, look at what you were doing. Like this one could have done better because I actually did the think with Google. This is obviously my hashtag, but I tagged my company. So did this do less? It was at the topic. Did I not have enough? So this is the type of thing you really start to dig into. So a couple of little like vernacular and understanding is this is our personal profile. And I've been talking all about our personal profile, but if you have a business, or obviously if you're connected, so your business should be seeing the icons on your employees. So at the top here, that's why it says technology therapy. And there's my little logo. So this is a business page. The main difference is truly is that this is advertising the organization. The second thing is business pages can advertise. And though we're not covering this in today's session, it is a reminder that for those of you trying to reach particular people, I absolutely love LinkedIn advertising because you can really hone into getting into people's news feeds or mailboxes based on their job titles, etc. But only business pages are allowed to do that. Business pages also have other opportunities. Now they actually have post a job listing for free, which was brand new. They'd never done that because I've posted jobs on here. They're quite expensive to post. But I did want to mention that the page has also metrics to give you back not only who's seen your post. So I'm just going to go back a screen for just a second. This just tells me how many views I had. What I love about my business pages is it tells me how many views I've had of the posts and by whom, meaning C-suite, industry. There's a lot of data in a business page to help you understand who's interested in your organization. Most of the time, people use business pages as a way to recruit, as a way to build their credibility as an organization and to show off their culture. Now, off of that are something called a showcase page. So I specifically picked this client because they're in the pharmaceutical area and they do conferences. They're in bio. And so if within your world, if your business were to have spin-offs, so I apologize, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like if we have a fabric manufacturer, textile manufacturer, and they have spin-offs, that's often what the showcase pages are for, is that you're really showcasing the brand, but the companies at the higher umbrella level. So you see this a lot with like a Procter and Gamble, where you have a Procter and Gamble business page, but their showcase page is one of their products. And because of that, this just launched. LinkedIn now has product pages because showcase page was sort of solving that problem, but now they actually, I grabbed a screen grab so you could see all the breakdowns. So if you have particular product lines, this is a new feature. last few items that we're covering before we get into our Q&A is the value of LinkedIn search is amazing. One, you could probably just about find everyone on here. So we are in the process of looking for a new CEO. And so, before interviewing them, I used the LinkedIn search to find and look for everybody. And so what I love about the LinkedIn search is you can probably put just about any name in here of anyone you're trying to reach at almost any level and you can find them. But if you notice, as I start to type the name and I just put my name in, there's sort of these little links here: people, posts, companies, jobs, groups, schools, events, courses. And then there's all filters. So that's actually what I wanted to look at, is the all filters, because this is really where you can dig into and find what you're often looking for. So here you can see that by looking at the all filters, you can say, well, I'm looking for people who are second degree. This is a very common tactic when I do training and education with people whose position relates to building and they're looking to get into, let's say, a buyer, or you're trying to get interviews and you're responsible for building relationship with sales, your opportunity building. So oftentimes you might want to look for people who obviously aren't first degree because you don't know them, but second degree. But then if you notice, you can then sub search all sorts of areas. So you can look for those in particular categories. You can look at their job titles. So this comes up a lot for me, is I'm looking for a merchandising manager. I'm looking for someone with a particular job title that I have a second degree. I don't care where they are, but I want to find, and then of course, again, based on you would obviously want to dig in. So this was just a default screen, but if you hit add an industry here, you will find that it will pull out a lot of that, like manufacturing, retail. You can find a lot of the industries under here, and then go ahead and hit search and you'll get your results, especially if you didn't say location. If you just say United States, then you'll find everybody who is a second degree in the US by that job title. And that can be really helpful. You can also just do by company. So you could actually add a company here that you might be trying to reach and then do the same thing. It's funny because people spend a lot of money over the years to try and get a database of the contacts, and a lot of the people, especially because of COVID and 2020, more and more people got themselves on LinkedIn last year. So I did want to bring this up because it's really a great way to find and connect with people. Last but not least is LinkedIn Live. I just wanted to remind people of it. It's starting to grow. It's very different from Facebook. What this is very important, is you have to apply for access. So if you are positioning yourself as an expert in something, and you have a good following on, and you'll notice by looking at individuals, you can do this. However, if your organization or your company is got a strong following, you can apply for access. It is not given to everybody. It is something very specific to, and you have to be accepted into. So right now, like I watch a lot of eMarketer. I love their LinkedIn Lives because it's always keeping me up to date on everything that's going on in the world of digital. So just to wrap up, I think all total, LinkedIn has really untapped tools for growing yourself and your business. And if you really spend the time on this, it is an investment that will pay off. So with that, Carrie, thank you. Do we have any questions?
We do have some questions, and thank you. That was wonderful. So one question in the chat: can you explain the difference between the hashtag, or how hashtags are used to search on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. I told Carrie I'm one of these agile presenters, and I loaded LinkedIn in the background just So Carrie, do you have an example of a possible hashtag?
How about textile market or fabric market?
Okay, so I'm closing my little. All righty, so here, hashtag. And it's funny because I'm going to share my screen and it helps so much to see that. All right. So first off, when you start typing here, you can see like these are the ones that I've already done, right? And so just a quick and see, I wanted to show one that I know I'd get results on. So you can see this is a hashtag that's already working. It doesn't have a lot of followers, but it's a strong enough. So that's sort of where that point comes from. And you can see then you can actually, if you see it and it's a hashtag that's being utilized, you can go ahead and follow it. So as you can see here, I started to type in, let's say, let's do fabric. And let's give that just a quick second. And you can often see right there, we're not getting much on it. So most likely it's not a hashtag that people might be using. And you can kind of see it's not one of those pages where we're getting that official, like, okay, this is a hashtag. So, and then I'm just going to jump back here to like one of the ones that I know we're going to get right there. And over here on the left, when you do a search, that is that business area. So see where it says, those are my followed hashtags, but you can hit discover more. And on here, you'll be able to dig into hashtags, and up at the top, you'll be able to see here, if you haven't seen this before, there's a little icon there and you can hit hashtags and that'll show you ones that you're following and you can start to find others. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Could you, and since you have it open,
yeah,
how do you repost someone's post, and do you recommend doing this with a comment or not?
Oh, great question. So I always recommend doing it with a comment because you should definitely give the reason why you're resharing that. So let me go back to, I never have to get nervous sharing my screen on LinkedIn, by the way. I have, when I teach Facebook, I always get nervous. Can you see my screen again?
We can see it.
Excellent. Okay. So basically, I just say that because you never know, but like, this is an example. See, that post was reposted and then Jeff put a comment with it. And I think that's really important. That's an ad. Ariana Huffington stuff I love, by the way. So basically, you can copy the link is a great way. And then I think it's probably the easiest too. And you can go ahead and put the information there and you'll see it will load in. So give that a second. And then you can put your information right above it and you can add hashtags. You could even tag another person. So I could then say, hey, at Carrie, right? There you are. And we could have a conversation. So I might even find something that's industry related that I want to bring other people into the conversation. The other thing I just want to bring up that happens a lot is that people will post and then they'll tag other people in the comments. So that's something else I did want to mention as well.
So does that show up on someone else? If you tag someone in a comment, like on Facebook, does it show up in their feed then?
So it actually notifies
or is that a setting for them?
Nope, it just notifies them they've been tagged. It's a great question. It's not, see, again, this is that like confusing world of, right? Of when you do that on Facebook, I actually have it so you can't show up ever on my newsfeed if I haven't accepted you on Facebook, in the sense of even my husband will tag me and it doesn't show because I have to accept it. Like, I'm so protective of my Facebook. So LinkedIn automatically does that to protect you. You don't have to worry about it. It notifies you, you'll get a notification. And if you, let me jump back over to LinkedIn. Oftentimes you'll see right there, see there's notifications. So these are notifications not only for me personally, but they're also of the areas that I'm following, right? So, so just as an FYI, that your notifications here will do, update you on some of that information.
Okay. Okay. We had a question about the showcase versus the product page. And are those only available with a LinkedIn business profile, or can they be accessed with a personal profile?
They cannot, and it's a great question, is they are only available on business pages. So I'm going to go to my business page for a second. And right now we're looking at as an admin, and under admin tools, there is right there where you would create a showcase page. And this is a great question you're asking, whoever asked this, because the other reason a lot of individuals, Carrie, ask me this question is because they'll say to me, well, can I have two LinkedIn profiles? Because, sometimes they have two sides of their personality. And so they do one kind of thing for one business. And actually, what most people don't know is, according to LinkedIn's terms and conditions, that it's probably been about 6 months since I've read, but they've always said you're only allowed one LinkedIn profile. And so what I often tell people to do is sort of what I'm doing right now. Like, I have my business here, Technology Therapy, but I've taken on an opportunity where I'm a chief digital officer. So you have to sort of start to learn to string things together. And then you really do want to use your about section to kind of tell the story of maybe if they're two different businesses, how they go together and why you do that. So that's where like an about section can really help you. But I just wanted to make sure everybody understood, when it comes to the showcases, they're only available on the business profile.
Okay.
That's why I call it a
let's see. We have, so Jana's asking, would it be better to do LinkedIn Live via a personal or a company account? And if you have many followers, if you have a lot of followers on the personal, is it better to do it there versus your business account?
Okay, so this really depends on what you're trying to do for your personal brand. If you do it on you, you're the one, so it's going to be your name, it's not your company. And if in the long run, so one of the things that we've been doing and transitioning is I've been trying to showcase my staff. So if it were me, I would do it on my company. If that's what I'm trying to build. Doesn't mean you can't do it on both, by the way. You can get it on both, but I would say make sure your content is different. So whichever one has the greater following is most likely the one that's going to get approved. And remember, it is an approval process. And I will tell you, sadly, they do not share with you on there what your follower count needs to be. So on YouTube, they tell you this right up front. To have a username on YouTube, you have to have a minimum, of 100 followers. But on YouTube, to get influencer status, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 followers for what they would kind of start to call your creator side of things. So LinkedIn does not openly share that. And I have to be honest, I have not Googled it enough to find this hidden on somebody's message board, because I'm sure somebody knows somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question about, if you are self-employed but created a business page to show your logo, should you post that on your personal page or on your business page? How do you connect them?
Okay, I think I'm sort of understanding. So I apologize. I'm going to use somebody in the jewelry world if you're all okay with it, because I think I'm going to go with, so this is somebody we just, so this is a personal, he owns his company and his company. So his business page, as you can see, hasn't been set up yet. So all you need to do, believe it or not, is first off, if it's a personal, I always recommend that your banner, and we made this for him, but when you go to make your business page, so up here at the top, I love it when they change things right there, because this used to be a drop down. Now today it's a popover, by the way. If you're just following along with me, this is really funny. Like in a matter of 24 hours, yesterday it was a drop down. Right here, you're going to create a company page. And then once you create that company page, which you can see, it's going to walk you through what kind of company page you're connected. When you put your logo there, then you would go back to your personal profile and then type in your company, and it will automatically connect and put the logo on that page. If you're doing things in like reverse, which makes sense, you know, you made your own profile first. When you make your company page, you just have to make sure that's that edit that you're going to need to do to your profile to make sure that the logo is properly sucked in from your business page.
Okay. I have a question about the value of creating articles on your individual page.
I love articles. I'm so far behind on mine. I'm like too many things to say. So first off, as a reminder, if you go to your own profile, you will see this ability where, you know, you can post and publish, and articles are really, really helpful. So I just wanted to do activity so you could see this is all my activity. These are your articles. So the last time I published an article, I was like a year ago. I'm such a bad presenter right now, like the shoemaker, right? But the value of this is really helpful. Oftentimes it can be a great way, especially if you're building your individual reputation and you're trying to show you're a thought leader. This, I will say, can be helpful, even garnering attention within an organization. So doing an article can be helpful. And then don't forget in the articles themselves, because when you create an article, just share my screen again, you will be able to, so the right article, you can tag people, you can do all the things you can in a post. It's just that you're saying you have a lot more to say on this. I had one article of mine on LinkedIn reach somewhere of a couple, I feel it was like over 10,000, because a couple years ago I wrote, my dad
Wow.
had this great saying, when you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And it got picked up and reshared by another organization. And it was a whole story about, you know, the value that we place on individuals, but you
Yeah.
never know what, so good headlines, good information can really help you, you know, be identified and found. So it depends on what your goals are as an individual. But this is another thing, is pages don't have articles, only people do. So you are the industry
Okay.
expert.
Okay, thank you. This is probably a good question to wrap up since we're almost at our time. Where can we further our education on LinkedIn?
Well, of course, you know, I would like to stay with me. So a couple of things, of course. So yes, I would love it. Please, I'm resharing my information. We do actually do classes on LinkedIn, and you can definitely reach out and sign up for our newsletter. And then, no surprise, LinkedIn years ago bought lynda.com, which was an education platform. So no surprise, they have courses on their own platform. So you can definitely check on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, if you recall back on our screen where we showed the search, there was a word courses there. So you can actually go find courses in there. But if I'm biased, I would love you to work with us.
Well, and actually, while you were answering that question, we had one more question pop up, and we've got about a minute left. How can I post an article that's already been published, and do I add an image? So if somebody wanted to repost one of your articles, for example, is that an option?
They'd have to share my article.
Okay.
So just like we had done before, and you can You'll find anytime you pull in a link from someplace else, you're not allowed to replace the image, by the way. It's a great question, even if it's from your own website, just so you know. So that's just one thing I want to mention. But if you post an article, you're not required to put an image, but it's nice if you create a fresh article that you put an image. So
Okay, well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I think this was very educational.
thank
We appreciate
you.
you taking the time, and I appreciate everyone joining us today, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Link in with me, everybody. Have a fabulous week. Spring is
Bye-bye.
here. Bye.